crafty family, as Big Poodle Craft says. It's Christy Cat. So I'm just going to show some of the jelly printing that I did with my Distress Oxides. And this is probably not last week, but the week before. Last week was really dickered for me. I had to do, or at least be available for jury duty, so I called on Valentine's Day to see if I was needed the next day. I wasn't, thank God, but just doing that alone, I had to switch days and add a day, and it was just, ugh. I don't want a stressful week like that again. I really don't. I don't know how people can always have something every single day and be running around like a chicken with their head cut off. It's just too much. So, without any further ado, the de-stress of the week before was very fun. On copy paper, I only did 2. The rest of them were light cardstock that you run through your printer. So whatever that is, I think it's pretty basic. It's nothing really thick and decent. But here's the copy printer one. I added extra water and it kind of has the beaded up effect. So I did them in color families, so that way everything was like really well blended and matchy-matchy in a way, and so that way the colors were able to be pretty interesting. I mean, you get some like oranges and browns in there, and there was some red. And this is some remnants over here, green, from a different pool. But, or session. But I was also working on, not subtractive, not additive. I think this is where you mask off. And I put these strips of paper there to sort of be able to do layers. And this is just a copy paper pool. This was like red, orange, and yellow kind of thing. I guess I did color families, so they sort of made sense together. The first ones that I did were all of these, layer upon layer upon layer. Probably about 3 layers. Just to sort of get general backgrounds. I did, like, I think this bottom one right here. I think those were like oranges and yellows. And then I think I did the purples on top, and then I think I did the greens and blues. Over that, it's really hard to tell. I think I did the greens and blues, and then right there, I did a second pool, and then you can kind of see some of the purples and reds. But yeah, I think these came out pretty cool, so. I also did placing them on the corners, so you get some corners and just different shapes. Not necessarily squarely over the jelly plate where it belonged, you know. So that way you could get all kind of different angles, and if I only used just a little bit of it right here, it wouldn't have any of this, but it has some interesting angles and bits and bobs, I think. Yeah, there's some squares here of, I think, I don't know if I just didn't roller it out all the way, so it could be slightly blotchy on purpose. But a lot of them, they look pretty darn good, I think. For me not being good at mixing that, I'm better with the paint now. I'm getting much better at paint. This is like the first, ooh, there's your spider. This is the first one I did, trying to line them up, and I kind of went, well, maybe I don't want to line them up. Maybe I want to go from edge to edge of the paper and use as much as I can. And there's, like, you know, still blocks of it there where I didn't perfectly roller it out, and I did that on purpose so I could kind of get some texture. But yeah, you can kind of see there the different colors that I did in different layers. Like the top one's probably oranges and reds, this one's probably blues and purples. And you can tell kind of sort of how many layers there are. And I thought it came out pretty cool. And then this one I tried to do some blocks of, like, I don't know if it was tea dye or walnut stain. Maybe it was tea dye. So that we would have big blotches of brown and just some different angles and stuff. And There's like weird lines. I don't know if that's the jelly plate just getting little marks in it from incorrectly putting that plastic sheet on top and it gets divots, because sometimes that shows up and sometimes it doesn't, but I think the little lines that inadvertently come in from wherever this is happening, it looks pretty cool. Like right in there. Oh, I kind of like the texture. And then after that, I did a few that was just one pool, that's it. Colors that made sense together, just as a simple background to sort of build off of. You can kind of see the little divots of like where the paint, or not the paint, but the ink mist, and a little yumminess of just the way everything sort of overlapped when I was rolling it out with the brayer. And this is sort of a show and tell, and if anybody really wants to kind of know how I did these, you can ask and I can make a video if you really insist. But there's a lot of people doing their oxides on their jelly plate on video. I feel like there's an abundance of that, so I really hate to beat a dead horse. But you know, it's the typical. You do the color family and sort of roller it out or half roller it out, and use stencils or don't, and use masks or don't, and just play with the colors and see how well they mix and match, because there's still some some green here from the pools before, and all I did was a light brayer, I think, of tea dye. You can see some of the brown, and otherwise I did oranges and reds and yellows. And otherwise I got some yummy bits of brown here and there, because I had put tea dye in there just for a little something different, just to get some brown in there. And you can still see the blocks. Like I said, it's like you put the ink pad down. I just didn't perfectly roller it out. Sometimes it was on purpose, and other times it didn't blend, because it just didn't. Not that that's bad or anything. I think it looks pretty cool, but I like this little edge here. It looks like a mountain. And the way the green looks over here. It's cracked pistachio, I think. I was trying to go for some of these looks to be like the rust colors that rust and patina colors he chooses a lot, like the cracked pistachio for some patina. I think it's fired brick, and then I want to say walnut stain that make a good brown rust, and then there's also another one that helps with making it look like a good patina or rust, but I don't remember which color it is. It's a color you wouldn't expect, but I think they came out pretty cool considering I don't really know what I'm doing. I was really trying to go for the rust look when I was first playing with all these, and it sort of didn't really work, but I think it's just getting it down and putting down enough water to make the inks oxidize and stuff. So, yeah. I think that gives it some really neat texture if on the edges you don't perfectly brayer it out. The lines that end up happening in it. It looks pretty cool, I think. I've really come to like the way things look on a jelly plate rather than perfectly flat and just, beautiful and just all one color. I've come to really like the crusty old paint from the last time you played. The old dry crusts that you get, and I've come to like the imperfections in the pot. Little pits and divots and stuff. So, I know this is garage lighting, but actually this is coming across pretty well, so I think you get the picture. I think this one looks pretty darn cool. See in this section right here. So it's pretty cool. So the other ones I did, I was working on using masks, because I I just don't do it, and I know that that's a way of doing things other than a stencil, doing a mask, so that way the top layer shows through and peeks through to the bottom layer and can be really cool. So I think I did pretty good. Thinking it out, trying to do light colors on the bottom and then put down the mask and do a darker color, and then take a print, and I think it came out really cool. So, you know, obviously the bottom layers were orange, yellow, and red, and then the top layers were the pinks, or the purples and greens and blues, you know, so just thinking about which colors might look good together. You've got to do it together, and which colors would be light over dark, or dark over light, and just kind of, what do you want? What do you want in the end? So, this one, for instance, I did the greens and blues on the bottom, and the yellows and oranges on the top. And you can still see it, you know. It's not as if the dark colors are better over the light colors versus light colors over dark colors. You can still see it, and that's what I like about the oxides. And I'm terrible at blending, and I did try to blend them on an art journal page. I did pretty good considering I'm terrible at it. I can't do it. I'm too heavy-handed, you know. So I like the oxides a lot on the jelly plate and without, and I think the texture that you can get and all the different color combinations, I mean, it looks pretty cool. I mean, look at this. I mean, I think that looks really neat. And mind you, I think the Cincinnati Reds need to start over. I just have this because I bought it for work. When they did opening day, we were allowed to buy a shirt and wear it. So like, I'm going to get down with that so I don't have to wear scrubs for one day. And it's not like I endorse them. It's a shirt to wear. I think they need to start over. Just new name, new coaches, new everyone. And that way the Reds aren't embarrassing. And the Bengals need to do the same thing so they are no longer teased to be called the Bungles because they can't seem to win to save their life. It's like they can, and then suddenly they crush everyone's heart. So anyway, I prefer baseball over everything else, and I'd rather play it rather than watch it. And I love hockey. I watch hockey the way guys watch football. I hoot and holler and root and stand up and make a big hullabaloo about it. And I'm not Canadian. I love hockey, and I don't even know the rules. I really don't. I just know you got a goal over here and a goal over there, and you start over here and your goal's over there, and you just try to do that. And, yeah. I have to admit, I do like it when they body slam each other. I really get into that, but it's not like I love violence, but it's fun when it's in a game. It's just fun. Not that I want that hurt or anything. I would absolutely be pissed off if my husband came home with a bashed up face and a concussion. But, you know, it's all in good fun. Don't massively hurt each other. Don't have to do it to hurt each other. Now, see, I really like this. See, it has, like, the lines. It's just fun. All that texture. And a color gradient, if you don't completely blend it. See where it goes from blue into purple and it looks lighter on the edge. It's just neat. I think that's one of my more favorite ones because you see all of the lines and the color fade, and it's just, I don't know. It's cool. So, pardon the backdrop. I want it to talk louder than a whisper. So that's that. So, thanks for watching. I hope you liked my little share. Like I said, if you really kind of into maybe learning better how to, I should look at the camera. If you're wanting to learn better how to figure out what colors go better together and, you know, blend it and then make them look decent and not beat it and stuff like that, just don't put water. Try to get it all in the same color family. Red, blue, red, blue. Maybe if you want to make purple, yeah, you do red and blue. But if you're trying to do all in the same color family, like you see here, do some blues and greens, and then you can also do blue, green, and purple to really make it pop. Or you can do the yellow, orange, and red together, which is the top layer. And then the bottom layer, 2 different shades of blue. Just that way it is a little more homogeneous, so to speak. And the more of a gradient that you want, you do some blues and some purples and try to lightly brayer it out on each side and blend it just in the middle, and then it won't be so well blended. And I don't know how else to explain it. I can show it to you if you really, really want it, and if no one else has really explained a good way of how to do that. I finally have gotten better at it with paint, and so I figured, well, I'll transfer that knowledge over to doing it with the Distress Oxides, but can't be that hard, right? But, you know, it's like having to go back to art class all over again for me, and that hasn't been for a long time. I'm 36, so that was 1999 when I did that. That was my last art class. And yes, it was as a senior, but it was one of those, I needed another class, I couldn't go home, I couldn't drive yet, and I took the bus, so that was the only way to stay in school longer, so that way I could take the bus home. So there you go. I took art too. And it's not like they taught us a whole heck of a lot that was any more interesting than draw this orange and, you know, a little bit of painting here and there, but I can't remember exactly what the topic was, you know, it was like, okay. So, some of us have to kind of relearn that stuff, even now that we're older, so it's just about relearning a color wheel and what works well together, and I kind of had to relearn that. So, but thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe for more. I have been making more stuff lately. I'm on 3rd shift, so I have to be quiet, and I have to not have very extremely good lighting, just one of my little real lights, or whatever those are called, where it goes over the work surface, and it tries to have real lighting, rather than like the fluorescent tubes, or, you know, whatever, halogen and all that crud. So it's the best I've got, and so that's why a lot of my videos are just me doing stuff. You see my hands and no talking, and I speed it up and I put over music, because who wants to just sit there and watch that? So like I said, always you can just click the cog wheel, say ×2, mute it, put some music on the background to just ignore my mouthy butt, but otherwise I try to do that so that way you can just watch and get through it. But if you really need something that needs to be slowed down so you can listen to me explaining stuff, if there's something that I know that some people may not know, because if you're new to the world of crafting and stuff like that, whatever the case may be, I'm going to slow down and explain it like I'm about to do in my next video. So it's one of those, I can't always be talking. So I'm trying to stay quiet for the family as they sleep. It's literally 3 o'clock in the morning right now, so I can't just sit there blibber blabbering all the time in the house. And if I need to, I try to keep it down, or I come out here, which isn't very often. And I try not to do things out here because, you know, no one wants to be seeing my garage door and saws and things like that on the other side of me. And ain't no way that I'm showing the other side of the building, because that's just rude. I would be showing all of the rest of our things, and that would be an invasion of privacy from my husband, and I don't want him to be offended, and he's right, you know, it's his space. So, like I said, thanks for watching.